Hi all. So welcome to another day on this JMeter training. Recap. We are discussing these points in sequentially down. So we are almost at the last points of this topics. Right. So we have covered till here in the last session. Now next. So we have covered till here and we have understood many stuff on these keywords as well. Okay. Now moving to the next topic. So next topic, first let me open this. Fine. So after parameterizing all this stuff, so we have done the last session, right? Everything. We can now next is we have to save a final code. So yeah, we have to save the final copy of the script up to above point, and then again this rule which we have already discussed, that in file name there should be no special character or a space. Right? So following that, we have to save a final copy. So let us go and save. So how to save? We have to go to file and then save test plan as, right? And then same name, PS01 PV product. Only like last we can change to V1. Okay. So version. This was the one on which we were working on. Now we are saving it with another file, which is final. And this we will move it archive. Okay. So for future reference if required, but this is going to be. Then right. So what V1 then generally in IT industry, in real project, anything is practiced like V1, V2, okay, version 1, version 2. So save that. So if you see, this was the last file on which we were working till now. Now I have it to archive, not required. In archive, we are all keeping old thing, maybe for future reference. And outside, this is now the main one on which we will be further doing some more steps, and then it will be ready. Okay. So that is the final. Now, what other further steps are left? Further steps left are just adding the theme time, spacing, and deleting the unnecessary elements. Okay. So first, what is think time? So you see 4.221 says that add think time in the script. Okay. Okay. So add think time in the script and by making some entries in user.properties file and then apply think time. Right? So we'll do this. Fine. Okay. So what is think time? Let us first understand, right? And why we have to introduce that in script. Right? So think time. See, whenever think time is like again the ramp up thing that we discussed yesterday. So to bring the users in the test, right? Uh, as per the real user perspective, because if we run without ramp up, all user are suddenly coming, right, and they are starting the test. But in real time, it's not like that, right? They comes up or they jumps in with some sequence, right, or with some gap or with some step, right? So that's why we introduce ramp up. Okay. Now, same think time is also like real world a scenario or real world stuff that needs to be introduced in the script. So, for an example, if you see that just for one user, if I'll run this script, so if you see it's just running right one after another, right, and um, and if they just got executed very quickly, very fast, right? And again, that is also called a robotic run. Okay, you see their execution time, almost one second. So fast they got executed, right? And so it's a kind of robotic run. Two users around. So you see how fast they were running. Actually, I stopped them in middle, but how fast, right? There was no gap or just yeah. Right. So how fast it happened, right? So actually, but in 4 second only, if you see whole scenario got finished from home page to sign. But in real time, just think like on our pet store application only. Okay. So if to complete those 15 transactions, right, manually as a user, almost it will take minimum 1 minute or 2 minutes, right, in real time. Because if you see slowly home page comes, then enter store, we click. When the user clicks on enter store, he waits, right? Or let us say when he clicks on sign in, he still waits, fill this data and click. So he's waiting, right? You see waiting. And it's not like every in one second the user is not doing this stuff, right? But here if you see 15 transactions just got finished in 4 seconds, within 4 seconds, 15 transactions are minimum 5 seconds also if you spend on each page, right? So 15 into 5, 5 is like 75, I believe, right? So at least 75 second we will take, like that's what 1 minute minimum. That's all very fast if the user. So so that is what we have to understand that running like this is again like robotic, right? Because in real time the user is spending some time on every transaction or after every transaction. He will think, he will wait. So think time is also called as wait time. Understand? Think time is also called as uh, wait time. Okay. Wait time, right? So actually, users waits for that particular period. So even like wait is- so suppose this is homepage launch. So some of Flipkart. Now he will wait and then type a word for laptop, and then he will click enter it. So this some time is getting it's coming here, right? That gap is coming, right? Because the user is waiting. Now again, suppose he got some laptop. Now he'll scroll and think, right? Think, okay, and then click, right? So you see, thinking or waiting, correct? Here also, okay, if he finds that this is good, right? So he will go ahead and purchase this, right? Okay. So this is what. So again, suppose he wants to do that, so he will click on buy now. Then signing in will take some time, putting mobile number, OTPs or password. So you see, right? So that is the thing. So after every transaction, see the user is waiting, right, for some time, and that is creating some gap, right? But here, when we are running the script, the user, these users are not waiting. They are, like you see, so fastly they are firing this request that within 4 seconds, whole stuff got executed, right? So it, but in real time, it's not happening. Like, so we have to introduce the think time between this transaction. Okay, so you got the idea, right? That after every transaction, there is a think time. Like suppose home page uh, got launched, then sometime it will take. Then suppose you will type search laptop. So laptop only if I'm typing, it took some seconds, right? At least let us say minimum 5 seconds. That too very fast if I do. Then I clicking on search. So after searching, then this page is coming. Then again, after clicking on before clicking on any other of any of this laptop, right? We will be waiting. The user will be waiting or scrolling, right? And then only you will be clicking, right? So that is the case. Okay, so this is called wait time. So after the transaction, after every transaction which the user is waiting, so that is wait time, or technically in performance testing it's called think time. User is thinking. Okay, so wait time or think time. So understand that think time equal to wait time, right? Now what is the different definition of this, if anyone asks in interview? Okay, so think time or wait time is time gap between two transactions. Okay, two transactions, right? So this is the definition of think time. So think time or wait time is the time gap between two transactions. Okay, after every transaction. So one transaction, suppose we clicked on signing, we clicked on signing. So that one transaction we did, and then next transaction we are going to do is login. That is second transaction we are going. Now in between we are waiting for some time, right? Some wait. Let us say to fill this and then click. So that is the thing. So after every transaction there will be a think time, and then only we'll do the second transaction. Then again some think time. Then again third transaction, like that. Okay. So that's what between two transactions, right? In two consecutive. So that is the definition of think time. And since in real time this happens, so we have to also introduce think time in our script, because without think time, if we run the script, it will be like robotic run, and it will put very much pressure, which is unrealistic pressure, right? Pressure, you can say pressure or load on system, on system, unrealistic. Because in real time there is some gap, right? There is some gap. It's not like within 4 seconds only all hits are going to the server. So it's unrealistic pressure or unrealistic load. So and introducing the think time introduces the realistic load. Now how to do? So simply right click on simple controller and then click on add think time to children, right? Like this. So when we do that, if you see right click on simple controller and click on add think time to children. So when we do that, if you see After every transaction, you see one thing time got added. See, sign in. Then so there are 15 transaction and there will be 15 thing time. You can count. So in our script, we have 15, 14 and 15 transaction are there. So if you count them, there will be 50 from here, here, all this. If you count them, there till here, there will be 15 thing time. Because after every transaction, there will be a thing. Fine. Now, uh, so thing time we understood. Uh, so thing time is a time gap. Now we have added this element. Now how it is going to create that gap, or how it is going to introduce that time wait, right? Or time, the thinking time or the waiting time, how it's going to. So if you see, if you, this is the thing time, right? If you click on that, that its name is thing time, but actually here its name is FCA, flow control action. Okay, FCA element, FCA element, right? Short form FCA. But and they have just given the name as a thing time. Name you can do anything. Okay, even if I delete this, you see its name will be, and if I do save, see its name got deleted, right? So name you can put anything, but real name of the element will be here. So actually, in JMeter, understand think time, that concept which they are using. It's a combination of two elements. So first element is FCA, and if you expand this, here expander is there, that key kind symbol. So if you expand this inside that, if you see there is a timer. This is a timer, right? Then its name is pause, but actual name is URT, uniform random time. URT, URT element, uniform random timer element. Okay. So yes. Yeah. So this right. So think time in JMeter, concept think time in JMeter is combination of element called FCA. FCA element is a sampler. The main component is sample. Like we have 12 major elements, right? And all those major elements have sub elements, right? So FCA element, flow control action, right? Flow control action element is a sub element of sampler, right? And inside that there is a timer called uniform random timer, right? Inside this. So it's URT timer, and it's a sub element of element called timers, okay, timers. So it's a sub element of time. So using this FCA inside that URT, using this, the think time consists of, okay, think time is made of. So it's a combination of two elements. So now, yeah, okay. Now how it, so this idea of we got. Now how it works, correct? So see here, if you see how this stuff works, that we will try to. So how this combination of two elements. First, we will try to understand both, like why this setup is there, why, right, and then we will also understand how this combination of both element is going to introduce the time, right? So we'll see that. Before that, let me show you one stuff, like inside this thing time. If I right click and add a timer called constant time, this I'll just disable. And here I'll create a gap of, let us say, 10 seconds. 10 seconds. So 10 second means 10,000 millisecond, right? And now if I run, so you'll observe that first home page will be fired, and then there will be a gap of 10 seconds, and then uh, enter a store request will be fired. Okay. Now homepage got right. Right now you can see it is in progress, but that 10-second gap is happening. Yeah, 10. Now enter store got. These are getting fired a little bit more fast because uh, for now ignore this stuff. Right. I have just introduced that timer here and given the time 10 seconds or one here also. So at two places, okay. You see homepage got fired. Now it's waiting. Homepage got fired. Now you see it's waiting. Test is running, but that 10-second gap is happening. Gap. Now enter store got fired. Now again 10-second gap is happening. 10-second gap. Why? Because after enter store I've given again a 10-second gap and then sign in will fire. Now sign in got fired. You can see here also. The homepage got fired at this time 21:53:09 and then after 10 second you can see 21:53:10 right 53 9 right 9 9 is almost 10 and add it to 10 so it will be 20 right so 21:53:20 21 is 9 p.m. right 9 p.m. Then and again 10-second here will be 30 right so you see 21:53:30. So you see gap got introduced right and they are getting fired slowly right with a gap of 10 seconds. Right? Again I'm running same enter store now signing right. So this 16 then 10-second will be 26 so, 27 why it is there because response time is also getting added okay so 1 second is extra and again 10 second to this will be 37 so signing you see almost at 37 or 38 so you see gap has happened right now okay so I introduced the gap okay so this is how it works now problem so this is a I added a constant timer actually right and from where I added by right clicking and going to add and timer so if you see all there are so many times but only few are important like constant or uniform or Gaussian these are important rest are not okay the URT so constant timer is here the URT uniform random timer is also here you see so it's a part of time and this is pause is actually name they have given a pause but actually that is URT uniform random time and the sampler right uh, uh, the first element which is FC inside which they are added actually it's a sampler so if you right click anywhere sampler and then you see first element FCA so it's a sampler correct so it's a sampler and inside that it's a timer is there which is URT time okay so remember think time in JMeter is a combination of FCA which is sampler and then inside that there is a timer called URT timer which is a time right now so I disable that URT and I introduce a constant timer and I given a 10-second gap and I have shown you how the timing works right and how after firing of the request there is a gap and then next request gets fired or next transaction happens right so because in real time this is what there is a gap right so you have seen that right how it works even the timing calculation also right and it is working very efficiently why here like suppose here 21:54:16 and 10 seconds should be 26 right but here it's showing 27 why because uh, from where 1 second is coming because 10 second is gap right but this request gets fired right? And response is coming so this load time which is almost 1 second right? That will also calculate it So next request will be fired at 10, right? 10 second is fixed gap plus this load time, which is almost equal to 1 second. So you can see 11 second, right? Total will be 11 second, and that's why 16 plus 11 you see 27, right? Then again 27 plus 10, uh, and then this load time, right? Which is almost one. We can keep because here millisecond time is not showing. So that's what you see. 27 plus 10 is 37 and 1, right? So 38, right? 38 as a round up. So, but that 10-second gap is happening efficiently. Right? We have seen it's happening efficiently. Now, uh, now in real world, okay, there are two kinds of think time. Understand? Or there are two kind of wait time. Those wait time are one is fixed and one is random, and generally random is preferred. It is preferred or used. And in load runner there is one more which is percentile based random think time. That concept is also there. So anyone who knows load runner, he will be correlating, he will be having this idea percentile based think time. So fixed think time, okay, random think time, and then percentile based random think time. This is in load runner. In JMeter this concept is because these both are same thing, percentile based random or random is almost now. So this now what is fixed? Fixed means suppose in our script in whole scenario of product booking, right? We have 15 transactions, right? 15 transactions are so between each transaction you are introducing a fixed gap of 10 okay, 10 second, 10 second, right? So this fixed gap of 10 second between each transaction is the concept of fixed think time. Now if you want, right, okay, now what is random and why we use the random or why random is preferred? So random means, see, why random is used or why random is preferred. Random means a random gap, okay, random gap, like not fixed but uh, uh, like suppose this is the whole product booking scenario, and suppose transactions are there. So in between a gap like 8 second, 7 second, 12 second, 5 second, right? Like not STD, random gap, right? Between two transactions. So that is what random think time concept. Now, why we use that? Why we prefer that? So see, we prefer this so that in real time understand that suppose this is the user, okay. So in real time, suppose 10,000 users are coming to Flipkart, or even 1,000 users are opening the Flipkart, and all those 1,000 users open the Flipkart and then they search laptop, right? So this time that they are waiting will be different, right? In real time. No, some user can wait 5 seconds, some can wait 8 seconds, some can wait 10 seconds, right? Because that is not fixed stuff. Okay, hope you are understanding that. Every user will spend some time, right, before doing the next transaction. That is correct. But they are not going to spend the same time, right? Same time of 10 seconds, no, right? Some can take some less time, some can take some more red time. Who knows? No one knows that, right? This is a real time scenario, right? I'll be waiting some more time here. Some one will be immediately clicking on the next, right? So that thing is there, right? That stuff is there. So see, so since the every user is waiting for a random different time gap, right? A random a random different time gap. Since all user are waiting for a random different time gap, then uh, and that is the reason, right? We have to introduce this random random think time, and that is why this is preferred because it simulate the more realistic scenario, because in real time some user can wait, let us say, as I said, will be waiting 5 seconds, some will be 10 seconds, some will be 8 seconds, right, on different pages. It's not fixed, right? It's not fixed, right? So hope this is clear. And since this random is preferred, that's why by default they have given this random time. Constant timer I added from my side in front of you just to show you how it works, but now I'll delete them. Okay, and that is the region, right? They have given the random time, uniform random time, because this uniform random timer will generate the random gap. Okay, random gap, right? Now how this works, let us say, so we'll try to understand. So to understand this, uh, first you have to decide what the think time range you want to give. Okay, that you have to decide. uh, okay, so that you can uh, ask with your team, or yeah, you can sit and discuss with your team that what is the minimum think time you are expecting, right? Minimum, and what is the maximum time gap you are expecting, right? Maximum think time, and you can create a range. So for an example, let us say, just to make it very simple, let us say minimum 10 seconds for one scenario and maximum of 15 seconds, right? Let us say this is what team has decided. So the range is now 10 to 15 seconds, right? Because as you said, different user will wait for different times. So we have to decide a range. So 10 to 15 seconds. Also, if no one tells you, then you can decide, like as a normal user, you have to think. Suppose you are on this page, how much time will it take to fill this? As a normal user, not very fast, not very slow, as a normal, right? Think. So how much time will take? Maximum 5 seconds will take, right? Or 7 seconds, or max to max 10 seconds, right? And if page is very big, so much forms are there to fill, so much inputs are there. So that time their user will take more time, 30 seconds also it can take. So you can also decide. It's not a very complex stuff, right? You have to just come to a number, like as a normal user, just thinking how much time a normal user will take. That's it, right? And you have to decide a range. So let us say we decided a range of 10 to 15 seconds. Now how it will work, right? So in whole script, we want to introduce a think time between a range of 10 to 15 seconds, right? 10 to 15 seconds. So how it is going to work, right? So to make it work, what we have to do is first, so I'll write it here. The range is 10 to 15, 15 seconds. Okay. Right. Now, so this minimum value, which we see here, this minimum value, that we will give here. Okay. Okay. So this minimum value, that we will write, right, in millisecond. So 10,000, 10 second in millisecond will be 10,000 seconds. Very simple. Now, difference between this difference. Okay. Difference between uh, max minus min, max minus minimum, which is 15 minus 10, right? Which is 5. 5. So this difference that we will give in upper one, which says random delay, right? So random delay will be, remember, difference. And constant delay that you see, that is the minimum value. Minimum value, right? Hope it's very clear. So, right. So what is that? 5 seconds, right? So here you delete this value and give 5 seconds in millisecond. So 5,000, right? And the same thing will repeat here. Course after enter. I'll show you for two transaction. 10,000. 25%. Now let me run. We will see whether that gap is coming between that two range or not. Okay. What? It's a mistake. There is no error here. Okay. Why after homepage the center storage marketing? Okay. Yeah. By default, your setting will be pause. Okay. So accidentally, I think I have clicked here. Fine. So just work little bit careful. Uh, just now, what I did. Yeah. So you see, by default, the setting was pause. That is the default setting. Pause means wait. Okay. And even if you see here, here, setting is pause, right? Accidentally, I clicked on this start next thread loop, and that's why after that, it's behavior is changed. So, and because of that, now we will. Okay. So I'm going to run. So home page, right? So you see, it got fired. We will calculate the time also. So what is the range we have given? Range is 10 to 15. Right? So we'll see. Enter store also got fired. And, let's sign in also finish. Or I mean we'll do the calculation. So if you see enter store is at 22 12 24 22 12 24, that is enter store, and home page is same. Uh, this is same 09, right? 0. So just calculate the difference between this, how much it is. Right? One second you remove for the response time. So that we will talk later. But for now, what is the difference between 14, 15, right? 15, 15. This is the difference between this 15 and minus 1. So 14 seconds. Then signing. Signing got executed at 12:37. So 12:37. This is for signing, and this is enter store. So what is the difference? 37 minus 24 is 3 and 1, right? 3 and 1 second, and almost 1 second rounded up, just reduce the response time. So 12 seconds. Right? 12. So gap between home page and enter store 14 seconds. Okay, 14 seconds. And gap between enter store and sign in 12 seconds. 12 seconds. Right? So it's working or not, right? It's always coming between 10 to. It will never be less than 10, and it will never be more than 15. Okay. So this is how it works. One more time. Or let me change next one. Let us say, suppose this one, I make it simple. Suppose 8 to 15 second you want to introduce a think time between 8 to 15 seconds. So this minimum value will give here, right? Which is 8,000, 8,000, right? And difference between this 15 minus 8 equal to 7 second, right? So this we will give here 7, 7. Okay. So it will work like that. Okay. And here also 8,000. And here 7. So it is going now. The think time that will be generated between these three requests will be between 8 to 15. Okay. 8 to 15. So enter store you see 15 22 15 22, and home page is this is same 15. So no, I'm sorry, 13. 13. Enter store is at 10 22 15 22, and home page got fired at so I'm doing a difference. That's why homepage I'm writing it down. Homepage got fired at 22 15 13. So what is the difference if you see? 9 seconds, right? 9 seconds. And from that 1 second response time of homepage, if we reduce 1 second, so it's 8 seconds. Not 1 second, little more. It is little more, but here millisecond is not there, right? That's why we have to just take approximate. Now sign in. So sign in got fired at you see 15:37, right? So what is the difference if you see 5 and 1, right? Exact 15, but some time we will deduct of response, yeah, response time. So minus 1, let us say, so 14. So you see between home page and enter store it's 8 seconds. And between inter-restaurant sign-in, it's 15 seconds. It's working, right? So this is how we will be giving the think time between a range, and this is why range is preferred. Why range is preferred, that you know, right? Because that is the more realistic approach, because different user will be having different wait time, and hence range stuff is preferred. Now how range thing will work? So first you have to decide a range, right? Whatever range you decide, and then depending on that, the minimum value of the range you will give here, and the difference between two, whatever is the difference, that you will give here. So constant delay will be the minimum value, right? Minimum value, and the random delay will be the difference. And then it is always going to create a gap between this range, right? And even I have shown. Okay. Now, so this is how think time will. Now, now next we will try to understand like why this combination. Okay, why they have made a combination of FCA and this timer. Okay, which is URT timer, and how it works. Okay, remember. So this can be also a very good interview question, which many people will not be able to answer. That can change. Okay. So you can ask anyone like why they have made this setup. A very good, very critical interview question. Why they have made a combination of FCA and URT. Suppose FCA is a sampler, right? You see, it's a sampler. Sampler. There are so many samplers, right? You see, sampler is main major element, and this is all sub elements of sampler. There are so many samplers. They could have used any one of this, right? Why only FC? Okay. And URT, why it is used, that we understand, to introduce a random thing thing. It's fine, but why it is inside this, right? Why it is inside this, and why this two element combination is added? We can directly add a timer, right? But why this? Yes. So to understand this, first we have to understand that FCA, okay, FCA element is only element, and remember, uh, property of FCA element, that FCA element, okay, FCA element is only element which executes, right? Which executes, right? Okay, executes, but it doesn't doesn't source in result. Okay, in result, it doesn't shows up in the result. That is the one property of FC. Now what is the meaning of this, right? So to show this meaning, add a thread code. Let me add sample. So many samples. I cannot add all, but random sample I keep on adding. Okay, any sample. All I cannot add. So many are there, but I'll keep this. View result. Now I'll run this thread group. Okay, simply. So you see, all sampler got executed, and we see them, right? We see them. See, from year to year, all got executed, and they show up in the result log, right? But this is not shown. Is it shown? No. Okay. So that is the property of FC, that it gets executed, but is not shown in the result, right? Out of so many samplers, we have only that sampler which gets executed. It is getting executed, but we do not see that in result. So that is one property using which they are using that property to make that thing. Now, why so, right? Why they are doing that? That will be question, right? So we have to see they are doing so because Once how it works, first you have to understand. So let us say once home page request got fired. So you see here home page request got fired. After that, what will happen? Uh, After that, what will happen? This will come in picture. Let us understand. Once home page request got fired, then this will come in picture. This FC, and it is about to fire. Okay, about to fire. Fire means execution. I say fire. But what will happen inside that? There is a timer. Okay, timer, and this timer executes before any element. Remember, any timer executes before any request. There is a rule for this. That all rule will let's study later on. That rule is called execution precedency rule, and a scoping rule is there. So execution precedency rule, which gets fired. So in that rule, we will understand. But for now, understand that any timer executes before any request, right? So this FCA, right? This thing time is actually what? It's a FCA, right? So this FCA is a sampler means in JMeter is request, understand, right? They act as a request, and that's why when we ran them, I've just ran them, they got fired, right? So means a request is getting fired. We see the request getting fired whenever we see them in network tab. So any sampler is a request, understand? Sampler in JMeter means request, and they act as a request, they get fired, right? So now FCA is also a request, right? So it is going to be fired, right? But what will happen? First homepage got fired, then now FCA is getting ready to be fired. But what will happen? Before that, there is a timer, and timer executes before the request, and timer is inside this element. So timer a scope means power. Okay, like you see power. For an example, understand power means yeah, simple power. Suppose there is a structure. Suppose grandfather, so he has a more power than father, right? Uncle. So father has less power or uncle, but grandfather has power on both. Right? You understand? Right? Power. So father power will be limited to his sons only, right? Power means just area, and but his power will not be directly limited to the uncle's sons, right? Right. Direct control is not there. No? Understand? Hope you are getting the point. Grandfather can control both. Grandfather can control this, right? Father can control only his son. Okay, the direct power. Or in uh, uh, normal case, like there is a district magistrate which is more powerful. Then inside that, below that, CO, BDOs will be there, right? So this is how power comes, right? Limitation. So that is the reason. Now, so this pause, okay, this pause is inside this timer. You see, sorry, inside this element called FCA. So this timer is inside this. So its power is only limited to this one. Okay, this request called FCA. So this power is called a scoping rule. Okay, scoping, and timer gets executed before a request that I said, that is called execution precedence. Execution precedence. Okay, means who gets executed first. So JMeter there is a rule, and scoping means which power will be where according to which element is arranged, right? So this is a very too important concept. We will be discussing more, but for now, just understand. So execution precedency means before any request, the timer will get fired. It will come up, right? And since it is inside this element, right? You see, it is inside this element. So this timer, whatever setting, is only limited to this element called FCA, right? So now coming again. So first, this home page got fired, right? Now FCA is next, right? Before after that, so if FCA is going to be ready to be fired, but what will happen? The timer will come in picture. right? Timer will come in picture. Now timer will generate the time, whatever the random time it will generate. So let us say it will generate anything. Suppose 8 second or 10 second is generated, right? 10 seconds. We have just seen it will generate a random time. So let us say it generated a 10 second time. Now what will happen? You see here setting is pause. So pause means now what will happen? For 10 seconds, this will pause. Okay. This request FCA, which was going to be fired, now it will pause. Okay, it will wait. And then after 10 seconds happens, then it's get fired. Okay. Now after that, it gets fired after 10 seconds, then enter restore gets fired. Enter restore. Enter restore gets fired. Now, problem is FCA gets fired, but we do not see that, not shown in the result. So after homepage, you will directly see enter restore. This got fired, but you will not see. Again, same. After enter restore, again there is see. Yes. So again, it will be ready to be fired, right? See. But again, there is a timer inside that. So this timer will generate some time, let us say 12 seconds. Now what will happen? Since it executes, or you say its rule is before the firing of the request. So it will make that request, which is FCA, wait for that 12 seconds, and then it will fire. Okay. And then after it get fired, immediately sign in will get fired. So, right. And that is the reason we see that gap happening. And that is how it works. And we see that gap happening, right? But here, since FC is getting fired, we do not see that, because that is the nature of FC. FC is not shown in the result, right? And that is how the this concept is done, or you can say um, uh, this is this whole thing is worked out, right? To understand, I can show you. See, it's all I have disabled. This is home page, right? Inside home page, I'll just add a timer called constant time, and I'll add a 10 second. 10 second. These all are disabled. Nothing is there. There is only first request home page, and there is a timer called constant timer, and I will add a 10,000 second. A millisecond means 10 seconds. So now what I have said, that before request is fired, timer will come in picture. So what it will happen? It will mark this request to wait for 10 seconds. So you will see when I'll just run that, there will be 10-second gap, or I'll increase it to 15 seconds so that you will get a clear picture. And then this will be fired. Home page will be fired. Let's see. So just focus on the duration. So I have started. Now timer is started. So till 15 seconds, nothing will happen, because that is home page request, and in that only I've added a timer. So it's making that request to wait for 15 seconds. Generally, first request we do not add anything, but here I'm just showing the concept. Now see, home page got fired. Right? So this is how timer works. It they works before the request get fired, before, right? And whatever time it has generated, it will make that request wait, pause. Okay. And after that, it gets executed. After that, you have seen, right, that home page got executed. Now problem is, yeah, fine. So now thing is that same thing applies here, that FCA request gets fired, and FCA we do not show. So even if it gets executed, we do not see it, right? And inside that, the timer is there, right? So whatever timing it is going to be generated, it is 12 seconds. So it will make the FCA wait for that 12 second, right? Like just now the example, and then it gets fired, right? So 12-second gap happened, and we do not see FCA also, and then the think time concept works out. Okay, right. So that is how these two that is why these two things is made, and that is how these two concept works. And this two concept follows the rule of the both scoping rule and execution precedency rule is applied here. Okay, now you can ask me that why we cannot add a timer directly, right? Why we are using think time? Okay, so why they have made thing? We could have added a timer somewhere in the script by right clicking. Let us say timer, constant time here, and or random timer, right? Anyone, and anyone you can use, right? For an example, go with constant, and we can give some time here. And since before every request, the timer will work, right? So there will be a gap, right? So why we cannot do that? Okay. So there is a reason. What is the reason? If we do like this, so it's correct that before every second a 10 every request, okay, before every request a 10 second gap, or suppose you are using a random timer, so whatever random time it's generated, a gap will be generated. Okay, now problem is that, see, login has two requests. Okay, so a transaction with multiple requests, so before each request also a 10 second gap will be there, right? That will become problem. Why? Because in real time, the gap is, understand, think time is time gap. Okay, time gap between two transactions. Okay, two transactions, not two consecutive requests. Okay, now what you are understanding means that suppose we do login here, so login has two requests, we know that, right? And you see account.action and catalog.action. Now, these two requests, the user doesn't have to do anything, right? They get fired immediately one after another. There should be no wait time between them, right? Wait time is between transaction, not between the two requests of same transaction or three requests of same transaction. And that is a reason, if you apply think time directly in the script, a timer directly in the script, what it is going to do, it is going to introduce time gap between, suppose login one got fired, then there will be wait of 10 seconds, and then login two will be fired, which we again become impractical, not a practical scenario, right? Gap should be between the transaction. Let us say sign in, this got fired, then 10 second gap, and then these two should be fired one after another, and immediately there should be no gap, okay, between them. Then this should be fired again after 10 seconds. That is fine. But if you use like this, right, only a timer like this directly, so it is going to create a gap between two requests of same transaction, and there that is become unrealistic, right? So that is why they go with this approach, like using FCA and FC concept, and not using timer directly. And they have made one element called FCA, right? And inside that there is a URT. Okay, so that this timer scope, that's what scope power is only limited to this one. Okay, for every FC, and that's why so many think time we have to add, right? So this is very important to understand. So it was clear. Okay, now and if we go by this approach, suppose here think time and then login, right, and then think time. So if we go by this approach, which is normal approach, so what will happen after sign in, right? Okay, after sign in gets fired, then this FCA will fire, let us say with some gap of 10 seconds or whatever. Then login will fire, and login both requests will fire one after another. There will be no kind of time gap between them. Then there will be, after this two gets fired, then there will be a time gap. Then select a pet request will. So it is realistic, right? It is real. So it's a very important thing which I've discussed now. I just understand. Okay, anyone can ask. Generally, many people do not know or bother about this, but it is a very important concept to understand. Okay, that how it works, why it works, correct, why they have used FCA element, what is a very important use of FCA element, because there are so many sampler, why only this is used, right? And yeah, why we couldn't use a timer directly, why this setup is properly made, right? Combination of FCA and URT, right? So I have explained, right, in very detail. Fine. Now, next thing is, uh, so adding so they are added and how they work, you all know, right? Okay. So generally we go with uniform random time, like random because of random time gap range. So you decide the range and then you have to give the value. Correct. Fine. Next. Uh, so now next thing is, see, suppose you decided a value that I have to generate a time gap between 8 to 15 seconds. So 8 to 15 second, right? Sorry, 8 to 15 seconds. So 8 will be here and the difference between these two will be here. Now, this whole thing you have to update everywhere, right? In everything time here also you have to update um, everything time you have to keep on updating, right? Here also you have to update like that. Here also you have to update like that, right? Now, problem is that 15 transactions, 15 thing time are there, right? So where in all you have to keep on updating, right? And then suppose if you want to change that, like let us say next time your plan is that you want to introduce some other range, like let us say 5 to 10 second only you want to introduce. So again you have to change in every all thing time. So it becomes more problematic, right? So then what is the approach, how we can solve it? Correct. So we can solve this uh, like everywhere, how we can give value using one go, right? No need to go separately and change the value, how we can do that. So there is a concept through which we can do that. So first create a variable. Let us say one variable name will keep as constant delay. Okay. So constant constant delay, and another variable name is random delay. Random. Now suppose constant delay is 10,000 millisecond. All value are in millisecond. Understand? So I want to introduce a gap between 10 to 15 seconds just for understanding purpose, right? So 10,000 is constant, right? Remember, constant is downside, the minimum value. So 10 to 15 second means this value will be here, and the different, this is 15, and difference between this will be here, right? So uh, yeah, so constant will be 10, and difference between constant will be 10, and difference between these two will be 10 to 15 seconds. So difference, the random will be the difference amount, right? So 10 to 15. So the constant is the minimum value and difference is the random value. Correct? Now this is done. Okay. Now how we will replace everywhere? Okay. So see, by default value of this random timer, whenever you will add first time, you will see this is 100 and this is 1000. Okay, that is default. Whenever you will add thing time, you will see that is default. And generally to replace a value, we do control F, right? But it will not work. I'll show you. Suppose I'll put it here 100 and replace it with a random delay variable in parameterized form. Replace all. So you see, it's not working. You can go and check anyway. It's not working. Yeah. So you see, this thing doesn't work. This replacement thing doesn't work. You see, I have done that, but nothing is happening. Nothing got highlighted, and it's not getting replaced, right? So this will not work for this section. So how to do, right? So what we have to do is first delete this all thing. I've deleted all thing and save. And we have to open JMeter properties file and user.properties. Okay. JMeter.properties file, user. So let us open it. Now this is JMeter dot properties file where everything you know about this line. These lines are there which controls the working behavior of JMeter. So here we have to find a line called control F, and same thing, that constant delay something on like that. Shall find this thing should be correct constant. So this is one constant. Oh, ignore that. One more time search. Yeah. So you see here when you search it just two times, you'll see here constant pause of the default timer. Default constant pause of the time and default range pause of the time. So which is showing 1000 and this is showing 100. This is the default one, right? Just I have shown that by default it will be 100 and 1000, and these are those two lines responsible for that. Now these two lines we have to copy. Like this is the first line. Copy that and put it in user.properties. This is just one time activity we have to do, not every time. And this so this one just copy and put it here, right? So one time activity means in JMeter whatever lines I am showing in the training, you can next time you can just keep it change one time and then you can use. Okay, not every time you have to change. Now here okay. So this now instead of this 1000 that you see, we have to put that variable in parameterized form. The variable constant delay, right? This 1000 is uh, 1000 is was constant delay. Okay, so like that in parameterized form, and 100 was random delay, right? So that we will put it and save. So this is just one time activity we have to do, and after that you save this file, and then we have to close the JMeter as like after any change, you have to always close the JMeter and start, then only it will affect. So let me start. I open this. Now what we have to do is now you add the time. So right click and add the thing time to children. So now if you see with every timer by default, it's the variable random delay and cost with every timer. Now next time you can add the timer and see in any scenario. Okay, anywhere you will be working, and when you add the timer, it will be like so. Right. So now you see we can now from one place only. You see now everywhere these variables are there. Now from one place, from here only you can control the value. No need to go there. Right? So whatever value you want to give, you can give that value from here. Correct. Now, so this is about timer, okay, and how to give the timer smartly. Now next thing is from this. Let us say in our script, as I said, there are two use cases where we use the timer stuff. One is constant timer, another is uniform time, random time, right? Random time. So generally we prefer with random time only. But suppose constant time also needs to be introduced. Like I want to just have a constant time of 10 seconds between all this. So how I can do using this same setting, right? How we can do? So in that case, just keep random delay as 0. Okay. So just try to understand that constant delay is suppose 10 seconds, means 10,000 milliseconds. Okay. And random is 0. Right. So it will always introduce a 10-10 second gap. Okay. One thing I forget to explain how this work was. Wait. Suppose for an example that 10 to 15 seconds, right? So this is 10,000 for an example, 10,000 here, and the difference amount, this is 5,000, 5,000. So how it will work, it is going to generate a random number or random time between 10 seconds, which is minimum plus. It will generate a random number between 0 to 5. This is 5, right? 5. So 0 to 5. So it can be anything, 10 plus 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Okay. Plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. These are all, anyone. So it can be 10 plus 1, 11, 10 plus 2, 12, 10 plus 3, 10 plus 4, 10 plus 5, anything, right? And that is how we have seen those, that is how it will be generating a random number between 10 to 15. Okay, that is how it works. Or another use case, let us say, uh, 8 to 12 seconds. Suppose 8 to 12 seconds. So minimum right here, you will put 8,000, and difference between this is 4,000. Right. So how it will work? It will generate a random between 8 to 12 seconds in this form, 8 seconds plus a random number between 0 to 4. From where this 0 to 4 is coming? This 0 to 4. Okay. So it can be 8 plus 0 or plus 1 or plus 2 or plus 3 or plus 4. Right? Anything. So it can be 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or final 12. Okay. So that's why, that is how it will generate any number between 8 to 12. Okay. This is how it works. Right. And that is how it generates a random number between that range. Now, as I said, if we give this as a 0, so suppose you are giving this as a 10, right? And that is 0. So 10 plus random number between 0 to 0, which is always 0, right? So it is always going to generate a constant time of 10 seconds between every request, right? So we can achieve both things through this. When you want to give a random range think time, so you play with these two values, and suppose you want to use constant, then this one you give 0 and it will also work, right? So that is a very smart work to introduce the think time, because every time you cannot go and change them, right? So now from one place only it can change. And again, why this value we are not passing from test data file? Because from test data file the value are passes for multiple users, right? For different user, different value you want to pass that time. But this we want to keep through script, right? So automatically this is not user dependent, right? It can generate anything between any transactions, right? Any number it can generate for different users. So that is about things. It took 1 hour almost. Okay. Now, supposed to finish this. Now, pacing. Okay. So pacing is like what is pacing? Right? So first, understand the differential definition of pacing. Pacing is time gap. Okay. Pacing is time gap. Remember, between two iteration. Okay. Two iteration or two loop. That we have to understand. See, think time, right? What is think time? Think time is time gap between two transactions. Okay, two transactions, and this is time gap. Okay, between two iteration or two loop. Okay, now what is the loop? So iteration and loop that we have discussed, right, yesterday only, that from here to last transaction till here, right? So from home page to sign out is one loop. Yeah. So from here to here is one loop or one iteration. Now, when we run a duration-based test, so where multiple iteration happens, correct, or a simple iteration-based test also, where we run for multiple loop, right? So after, let us say, after finishing the last transaction and before starting the first transaction, after finishing the last transaction and before starting the first transaction, if you want to give some gap, okay, some gap, that gap is called pacing. So pacing is a time gap between two iteration. Means the last iteration is finishing here and the next iteration is going to start from here. So time gap between the last transaction and the first transaction, that will act as a pacing. Okay, pacing, right? So in JMeter, understand there is no pacing concept. Okay, then how how we will play, how will introduce the pacing. So in JMeter, pacing thing, the last thing time you see after the last transaction, this is last transaction, and after that whatever the last thing time, that you can make it to use as a pacing. If you want, you can just change this last thing time name also as a pacing, right? Say, and then you can play. So if you want to have a random pacing, just change this value, right? A random pacing, or if you want to have a fixed pacing, this you can disable here. You can give a fixed pacing also, constant. That's what, that also you can do. You create a variable and suppose pacing, and this we can put it here. Suppose whatever 3 second, 5 second, 10 second, whatever cap. So what will happen that next time when all user will finish sign out, and when they will go up, and when they will are going to start home page, right? So there will be a gap of 3 seconds, okay, or 5 seconds, whatever time will. Okay, so that will be a constant pacing time. And if you want to have a random pacing time, then you can enable this element, self disable, and give the random value. You know how this works. Okay. So this covers the pacings. Okay, pacing concept. Now, fine. Next is about retrieving the embedded resources. Okay. So see, retrieving of the embedded resources is an optional setting, and I have told you there are three kind of response time, right? One is like uh, whenever we run the test. So when a request get fires and when response is coming, and that in code form. So how much time it is taking, right? How much time it is taking. So that is the main response time or server side response time also. You can call it as a T1. And generally in all performance testing, we focus on this only. And in JMeter also, which we are running now, if you see, so request is getting fired and response is coming in code format and how much time it is taking in, that is why server side response time. Okay. And in all performance testing thing, generally we focus on this. Now, after that, once that response come, then it get processed on browser, and uh, the embedded resources will be downloaded. So there will be a special time for that T2, and that whole code will be processed. So that will be T3, and then that is what we see all end-to-end response time, right? That all we have understood long. Now see, this T2 and T3 stuff is user dependent. It's on user machines dependent, right? Because uh, if like someone's user laptop is slow, so this retrieving will be slow, right? RAM is slow, processor is slow, so obviously this will also be slow. You might have heard, right, that even in mobile also, a mobile with good processor will run faster, a mobile with slow processor will run slow. This is there. I think we all know this, right? Even in many YouTube channel you see there are scores benchmarking score, you Antutu score are there like this, right? So why we people purchase high performing processor, right? Because it will work faster. Low performing processor, it will work. High RAM, it will be more good. Lower RAM, it will be more less, right? So a user laptop whose processor is old and having a less RAM, right? So his processing will be slow. And a person who is having a fastest everything, new purchase laptop only with all fast, he will be getting it all thing getting done fast, right? So that is first parameter. Second parameter is like, see, even I've shown that in a special session where we were discussing about cookie and cache, and this about this server side and client side stuff, that embedded resources, first time when you visit the website, that time they get downloaded, and when we are repeatedly visiting, right, a user is repeatedly visiting, they never gets downloaded again, they gets loaded from the cache area one, and that is how response time is saved, right? So that's why this thing, retrieving of embedded resources and stuff, that is user dependent, and it's called in UI part, UI testing, right? And it's always not preferred because of this dependency, which doesn't have to do anything with the server. Okay, right? So generally, all the performance testing generally we do without retrieving of embedded resources, only focusing on the response code, response coming in code form, and how much time it is taking, and that we will be testing for one user, 1,000 users, 1,000 users, lakh users, right? That is. But suppose if someone say that we have a requirement of uh, running, right? Someone say that we want to have a response time. We want to have the response time by retrieving the embedded resources. Then how we will do that, right? So that we can do by doing a check here. If you see in every request, this is the request. This is the request. In every request, there is an advanced tab. You have to go to advanced tab. Here, you see, this stuff is there. Retrieve embedded resources and parallel download. I'll explain this stuff. But for now, this setting is there. We have to enable this setting, and when we run, so this only particular request is going to retrieve all the embedded. But using this setting will not work efficiently, because for every request you have to go and do it. For every request you have to go and, which is time consuming. So it's better we use a element called let me match this. We use an element called HTTP request default. Okay, HTTP request default element, and where we add that. So we add that at the test plan level. So right click on test plan, go to threads and config element, and here you see HTTP request default. Just add it here. And here also you see basic and advanced time. It's same thing of request. Any request, if you pick the basic, whatever the settings are there, all this is here. So this is kind of one setting, whatever you choose, it get applied over all, right? So this will come under a scoping rule that I just discussed, right? Because whatever setting you do, it will cover all, right? Power will go to all. So now here, if we choose retrieve and then parallel down, here I'll give 10. What is parallel download? I'll explain later on. For now, just let us do that. So I've chosen here, and now you'll see all requests will be retrieving the embedded resource. But before that, uh, one more element we have to use. Remember that whenever anyone talks about retrieving the embedded resource, cache manager has also need to be used. Okay, because caching is for that purpose only. Right? Cache handles the storage of the embedded resources, and that way, that is how a realistic approach is done. So cache manager we have to add HTTP test is HTTP request default should be added at test plan level, and HTTP cache manager should be added inside thread group. Okay. So right click thread group, add go to config element, and you see cache manager. Just move it out somewhere above simple control. And here we have to put a check mark clear cache on each iteration. Means on every iteration, every new loop, we have to clear the cache, right? That's why. And this number you can increase also. That is not a problem. By default, it's fine. Now, if I run this, so see, before I just now I ran a test, and I'll disable the segregate. I'll add one more. So this run, which I did for one user, you see this time are very less. Right? This. Now I'm going to run on top of this one. Okay. Now what will happen? You'll see those requests will retrieve their embedded. Wait, let me run it fast. So now if you see this home page here, it has retrieved its embedded resources or enter restore. Earlier when I ran this, right, this was the first run. So here if you see, if I expand this request of home page or enter restore, do you see any key kind of symbol? No, right? Because it is just request got fired, right? You can see here. But now when I ran the test, which is downside from here, so this is home page request. But then you see here a CSS file got retrieved. Right? Then enter restore, right? So this is enter restore request got fired. You can see here. Response can, and after that all embedded resources got retrieved. So downside you can see dot svg file, jf file, jf, see, right? All got it. Okay. So you see, and even time also, like earlier when we did the run of enter restore, it took 278 milliseconds. See, 278 milliseconds. Now enter restore is taking 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And earlier it was 0.2 seconds. See the difference? Because embedded resources retrieving take time. That's why response time has also increased. So do not panic because you are retrieving embedded. Obviously time will increase, right? And this time is without retrieving embedded. So it's less, right? So likewise, and hence in aggregate report also if you see time has increased, this time we will not see getting increased much compared to this, but home page and enter restore time has increased. Why this we do not see getting increased? Because that's what catching a stuff. In enter restore only all embedded resources got downloaded and got stored in cache manager. So in next transaction, whatever it has happened, so those dependent embedded resources has not been downloaded again. Okay. If any embedded resources which will be here, which is not here, they will be downloaded again. And right. So this is the concept how we will be running a test by retrieving the embedded resources. Okay. You have to add HTTP request default. You have to add this, enable this setting, and you have to also add cache manager and put a check mark in this, and then you will run, and then you will see increase in response time as well. So that time do not panic, right? It happens because embedded resources are getting retrieved, so that extra time will be there compared to without running it. But generally, in all the tests, we run a test without retrieving the embedded. Right. Now, before closing, about this, what is parallel download? So parallel download, you see there is a setting in every browser, okay, and that setting ranges from 8 to 12, or I think 6 to 10, I believe. It's not a specific, but something is like that. Now, what is that parallel download means? When response came in code format, so after that all embedded resources will be downloaded, right? Browser will be downloaded. So if you see their request of downloading will be fired at same time. See, one line is there, or you see the start time of them getting fired, it's at same time. See, you can see here in waterfall model here. There are some other embedded resources which are getting fired at later time. Right? These are at same time. Okay, they restart time. It's said like that 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 requests generally a browser nowadays they download them parallel means at same time. Okay, so on a page if there are so many embedded resources, so out of them let us say 10 to 12 will be downloaded at same time, then again next 10 to 12 like that it will happen and you'll see some gap. So you see gap. Okay, and to simulate that same thing we use this parallel function, right? And that also we have to enable. Fine. Now I'm removing this setting now, but remember if required by your organization or your team, then you can do that. But since we do not do this, so as usual or normally every time, so I'm deleting this also. Capture manager. So this is an optional setting always remember. Even I have written it. If required, here I have written this setting must be used only when there is a requirement to have response time details by retrieving embedded resources for each request. Okay, each request. Generally, embedded resources are not retrieved while doing normal server-side performance testing. Normal performance testing or server-side performance. Okay, fine. So that is the optional setting, and that is how embedded resources. Next, last thing. Okay, so delete any unnecessary listener or element from the script, and also uncheck generate parent sample option in each transition control for have a better result and display. This is an important step. So now everything is completed. We have added think time and all those things. So now, and this is final version of the script. So what we have to do is all unnecessary thing that you see in test plan in your script. Like just now I deleted HTTP request default. That is not required when we need that. That time we can use. And otherwise, no need to use. And to catch a minute, also I remove. Then same way, suppose this use L3 for now, I'll disable aggregate report also. Disable this all we do not need. And this recorder HTTP not required, right? So we will delete this. And here also this debug sample we do not use. Now this is ready for going in testing. Why to delete? We will discuss that later on. Sorry, why to delete? But generally, we should delete or disable at least all the unnecessary listener and okay. And this last thing, unchecking that, uncheck this system. Generally, in the beginning, also I told that this is not required to check, but when we while preparing the script, when we run the test, right, it just look beautiful in the view result tree. Yeah, that's why we check it, right? Otherwise, by default, the setting is unchecked and we have to uncheck. So uncheck it. Even here, so I had that. If required, you can put, but remember we have to uncheck them all in the last. So this way, so now after doing this, this script is fine. Now it's almost done. Now we can put it, now we can go and run for 50 user, 100 users, 1000 users, right? One by one, inclusive. So that all we will do later on. But for now, um, next we will prepare this. So in same way, okay, prepare the script for all other scenario that you are working on, following the same step from 3 to 424. Point number 3, right? By again recording and following all enhancement step till all these enhancement step till here. Now, also remember when we become expert, then while doing enhancement of the script, parallelly we can do correlation of convention and unconventional dynamic value, adding responses, and error handling, test data preparation. All we can do one at a time, right? Not in sequence like how we have. The sequence I have just shown for first time, but when you become expert, everything you can do at a time. Okay, so that I'll show you in the next scenario that we will be working on, which is user registration. So tomorrow we will finish the user registration completely. We'll immediately start recording and we'll finish the announcement also, but we are going very slow, right? So both scenario will be ready, and then we will go, and then we'll understand two more scenario as a homework, three more scenario as a homework, right? And then uh, so user registration, we'll discuss this point in user registration. Then we will all see this two scenario as a homework, and then this I'll show you because there is a special case in that. And then after that, we will discuss regular expression, which will take 2 days, and then we will start the execution of that. Okay. So that is so. Thank you for attending. Uh, have a good day.